Welcome back to the SEO Fundamentals for Writers Training course, hosted by StoryChief and me, Liam Carnahan from inkwellcontent.com. I hope you had a little bit of time to try out some of those keyword tools that we went over in the last video, and that now you have a little bit of an idea what your audience might be typing into Google, and maybe a few keywords that you want to target with your SEO strategy. Hold on to those keywords for now, because we're going to come back to them later, but before we can start integrating those into our content, we need to go over a few golden rules of how you're going to structure and put together that content in the first place. Okay, let's begin. After you spend some time studying things like keyword volume and domain authority, it can start to feel like SEO is all about numbers and data and technical stuff. But here's something important to keep in mind. Ultimately, Google and your human readers want the same thing: high quality, digestible, informative, and useful content. It makes sense that what is pleasing to your human audience is also pleasing to Google's algorithm. That algorithm is designed to promote content that people find useful and accessible and engaging, while burying content that is messy, disorganized, outdated, or just plain bad. In the world of SEO, we use the word readability as an umbrella term covering a wide range of important ranking factors that all relate to how accessible and easy it is to understand a piece of content. Whenever you're creating digital content, readability should be a major focus. And fortunately, this is where your skills as a writer are really going to shine. In fact, sometimes when I'm thinking about readability, I like to channel some of my English teachers from my school days. Many of the lessons they taught me about how to be a good writer and a good essay writer are applicable to SEO as well. Both your human readers and Google prefer that you create content that uses accessible language. Note that this doesn't mean you have to water down your vocabulary or make your content really dull and boring, but avoid using too many unnecessary complex words and keep any confusing jargon down to a bare minimum. Paragraph and sentence length also play a part. When we're reading web content, paragraphs that are more than 3 or 4 lines long look really dense on the page, and they're likely to drive away readers. Google knows this, and so its algorithm is also looking for shorter paragraphs. Of course, strong grammar and fewer typos also matters when it comes to readability. This is why I offer SEO editing as part of my job. A second set of eyes to review content and make sure it's optimized before it goes live can be really helpful. In addition to this grammatical stuff, we also want to make sure our content is easy to navigate. For example, you'll please both your human readers and Google's algorithm if you use a legible font and a color scheme that's easy on the eyes. No more fancy illegible script or gray on white text. In terms of navigability, you must also avoid what's known as the dreaded wall of text. You've likely come across this kind of web page before. Endless amounts of text, paragraph after paragraph, with no break for the eyes, and no way to make scanning easier for the reader. Remember, when people are using Google, they're likely searching for a specific piece of information. They want to be able to find that information in the most efficient way possible, and scanning through endless walls of text is in no way efficient. And once again, Google knows that walls of text create a bad user experience, and so it rewards content that finds ways to break through those walls and make things easier on readers. You can do this by adding in things like subheaders, visual elements like images or graphics or video, and other navigational elements like a table of contents that you can click. For example, let's take a look at this article from my website. This is my big explainer blog about SEO, and it's quite long and packed with information. But as we scroll through, you can see I've added these subheaders in here. I've got some images, some bulleted lists, and all of this is here to make it easier for people who are reading this. I've also got this clickable table of comments so people can jump around to any section they want. Even if they plan to read every single word of this article, people are going to find this organization more useful and more enjoyable of an experience, and I'm going to get rewarded by Google's algorithm. Here's the good news about readability. As a StoryChief user, it's incredibly easy to see just how readable your content is, even as you're writing. Whenever you're working on a story in StoryChief, you can see your readability score up at the top left of your article. The scoring guide takes into account all of the factors that we just talked about, and when you click on your score, you'll get a breakdown of what's working well and what needs improvement in terms of readability. And that brings us to our homework assignment for this video. When you're done watching, head over to StoryChief and open up something you're working on. If you haven't started anything yet, that's okay. You can copy-paste something from the past that you've written, or just take something off the website that you're currently working on. Take a look at your readability score and see what it says. If there's room for improvement, try editing the content using the information we've covered in this lesson to make it more readable. Focus on breaking up those long paragraphs, adding subheaders and bullets and visual elements to break up the copy, and clarifying the language you're using so it's really easy to understand. You can also try visiting some of your favorite blogs or websites and just taking some notes on what sort of things they're doing to break up their content and make it more digestible. Now that you know that people are doing this kind of thing, you're going to see it everywhere. When you're done, be sure to save this article that you worked on in StoryChief as a draft, because in our next video, we're going to take a look at what other steps you can do to help your content really take off in terms of SEO, including how you're going to work those keywords into your new, nicely structured piece of content.